Oh, I'm an idiot. I am so much a supreme idiot. I did not turn on crop sensors right here. I didn't have the crop sensors turned on. That was bad because we are not going to get the bestest environmental score in the field we just did. Okay, so if this was a manure spreader, what I would do is up at the top here it says deactivate automatic application rate, so I would press that button. And this now gives me an application rate of 12 litres per hectare, which is miserable because this is what we need. So what I would then do is change application rate is K and M, so I would press K and you'll see that bar at the bottom going up. Now that's ideal for this particular point in the field. What I would usually do is step it down a bit. So we'll take it to 100 plus 40. It would push this up to 140. And I would spread the manure on this field first, then I would plant the field. And then at this stage where the crop is now grown, I will activate automatic. And I would only have sort of 10, 20 kilos per hectare, and thus I would save myself a ton of money. Crop sensor, okay, that's good. And we can turn that off. And it reduces again the costs of fertilizing the field, because the expensive stuff I'm only topping off the field to get the environmental score at perfect levels. And yes, I do play ATS and ETS, but not a game I've picked up in a number of years, so I am aware of new states. I think the last state I got might have been Washington. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm not keeping up with it, and the result is because I don't play ATS that frequently, I can wait until there's a sale and then pick up the states I don't have. Yeah. Yeah, I think. And it's part of the deal with, I don't play games during the week. I don't play a game that I have to put time into during the week. I might play a couple of battles in World of Warship, but then that's it. And I might, in theory, I could play ETS and ATS, but it involves getting the steering wheel out. Whereas with World Warships, it's a keyboard game, so I can just start the game, end the game, we're done. But anything that has, I think with Truck Sim, it's, while there is elements of a campaign there, building your empire, it's not something you have to concentrate on. With Farming Simulator, for example, I'm building, it's a campaign. I am working this farm and making money, and I do like to pick up where I left off, and part of the problem is if I left off 2 months ago, I don't remember where I got up to. And with those sorts of games, it tends to be, I'll just start over. It's easier to start over than it is to try and figure out where I got up to. I mean, other games like that, Subnautica. I still haven't completed Subnautica because the game came out on a PC that when I had a PC that couldn't play the end game. I got probably 90% of the way through the game, and then it's just no. Graphically, my PC could not cope with it, and so I had to stop playing. And then once I did that, it was like 8 months before I got a PC that could support it, by which time it's like I have no idea where I am, what I was doing, I've forgotten everything. It's easier for me to start over, and I've started over about 3 or 4 times, but I never really get to the end of it. So, game I haven't really played. So there's lots of games out there that look interesting to me, and I think, oh, that's a really nice game. But I'm not going to buy it because, quite frankly, I'll spend my money on it and I will never play it to completion because my calendar doesn't fit. So as I said, the only game I'm really putting time into is Farming Simulator, and even then only on Saturdays. But that's frequently enough that I can keep going. I could, as I said, ETS to ATS are games that I could pick up and play. More likely to play Train Simulator, although I'm getting very annoyed with Dovetail at the moment, that I don't really want to support them anymore. But also a game you play with the keyboard, and I can just get in a train and drive from point A to point B, or at a B I can pick a scenario that is I've got 45 minutes. There's scenarios that are about 35 minutes long. But yeah, it used to be, back in Farm Sim 17, 18, 19, well, not 18, but Farm Sim 17, 19 days, I used to point out that the way Dovetail did Train Simulator, I like that over the way Giants does Farming Simulator, because with Farming Simulator, every few years a new version comes out. None of the old DLC works in the new version, so you've got to wait till modders bring out new DLC or new mods and for Giants to bring out new DLC. So when the new version of the game comes out, a lot of the features, especially mod features that you're used to, aren't available. So there's no GPS, there's no follow me, there's no course play, there's no precision farming, and at least for Farm Sim 19 there's no seasons yet, and you had to wait up to 12-14 months before the mod came out, and that could be frustrating. So typically when Giants announces there's a new version of Farm Sim coming out, I will start to use GPS less frequently and follow me less frequently and course play less frequently, because I know when the new game is released and I start playing it, I'm going to get really frustrated really quickly because those features are not available in the new game. Now with Train Sim, it's Train Sim Classic. Every year Dovetail would bring out a new version, except it was enhancements of graphics, enhancements of features, and you didn't have to pay for it. What you paid for was a collection of routes, usually a European, American and British route. So you could pay every year $40 for the game, but the only benefit you were getting over people who didn't pay for it was the new routes. And if you didn't want to pay the $40, it would cost you $20-30 for each of the routes. I eventually, it didn't take me long to just say, it's not worth my while buying the the annual the annual update, because I get the game update free, and the only routes I generally play are the British ones. So why do I want to pay $40 for an update that's free, and for an American route, a European route, and a British route, when the only route I'm likely to want to play on is the British one? So I stopped buying the updates, but I would buy the odd route when it came out. I would buy the odd locomotive when it came out, if it was British. So, but it did mean that, Train Sim Classic 2020 was an upgrade of the graphics and features in 2019, but all of the mods and DLC that I bought back in 2012 still work with it, and in some cases work better. Same with Truck Sim. I do not have to buy Truck Sim again, American or European. Just because a new map comes out, they will patch the game and add in features and add in new stuff. So we got what was it? You could buy your own trailers and thus do what is it? You could buy your own trailers and use your trailers to do jobs. That was a game update that was introduced just before one of the maps came out. Logging trailers got introduced just before the Washington map was introduced, because Washington was going to include a lot of forestry trucking. And so those games, I like the way they do it, because they make me buy the game once, and then they sell DLC, and there's mods and updates. I don't have to pay for the game updates, I do have to pay for the DLC. And in general, when they update the game, I have to wait for a mod to get updated as well. And sometimes a modder won't update the mod. So, no, not using that mod anymore. But with Farm Sim, you have to buy, if you want to stay current, you have to buy the game every 3 years, and then you have to wait for all the DLC and the mods to be re-implemented. So, but Dovetail have just gone. Train Sim Classic, as I said, that's been around, I think, since about 2009. Was a Microsoft game at the time. Microsoft dropped it, Dovetail took over, and I don't have a problem with that. It was kind of like Farm Sim in the early days. It's like, why would I want to play a game that's driving up and down fields and doing farming stuff? Why do I want to drive a train? There's no freedom in driving a train, because you're on tracks, and that kind of decides where you're allowed to go. But they turn out to be fun games. But Dovetail decided quite a few years ago now that Train Sim Classic was never going to be a modern game. It was always going to be limited by its original programming, so that the graphics were always never going to be truly realistic, and other things, aspects of the game. So they decided they were going to bring in a new Train Sim engine and go with that. And I did get onto the testing team for that, and frankly my PC just could not run it. So I put in about 5 hours of testing and just, yeah, my PC can't play this game. And then I got my current PC a couple of months later, and it's like, oh, it does work on the new one. But they changed the vehicle models to model individual components. So the springs were modelled, the wheels were modelled, the traction motors were modelled, and a locomotive is a collection of individual bits that function together to make it work. Okay. And it allows them to do a far more realistic game than Train Sim Classic ever could have been, without completely taking it apart and rewriting it. So Train Sim World was their attempt to replace Train Sim Classic with a more modern build that was far more realistic. I didn't have a problem with that initially. They said, yeah, this is what it's going to be. And effectively the implication was they were going to do exactly the same as they were doing for Train Sim Classic. There would be annual updates of the game engine and DLC that you could buy each year. Yeah, more DLC each year. Okay, fine. But they went away from that. They decided pretty much every year they were going to produce a new version of the game, and you had to pay for it, $40-50 for a new game. There would be a couple of new routes packaged with the new game, and all of your previous game version DLC would still work with the new version, but it wouldn't have the new features in them. So all of the Train Sim all the stuff you bought with Train Sim World worked with Train Sim World 2. And then more DLC was produced for Train Sim World 2. But that wouldn't work with Train Sim World. So you were locked out of buying any new DLC. And then a year later, oh, we've added to the game engine, and now you have to buy the game again. And all of your DLC that you had for Train Sim World and Train Sim World 2 will work with Train Sim World 3, but any DLC for Train Sim World 3 doesn't work with 2 or the original. So if you want the DLC for Train Sim World 3, you have to buy Train Sim World 3. And then they repeated it the following year for Train Sim World 4. So they're now currently on Train Sim World 4. In about 4 or 5 months' time, they will probably announce that Train Sim World 5 is coming out, and that all the DLC that you bought for Train Sim World 2 will still work on Train Sim World 5 without the additional features. And if you want to buy any of the new DLC, you have to buy the new game. And I'm not playing that with them. I'm done. But now they've gone one step further and they've said, hey, buy a subscription. So it's not Game Pass, it's a subscription. If you pay monthly, and it's something like, I think, $15 a month, you can get all of the DLC. Or no, you can play selected DLC. We select which DLC available on the subs model. And it's like, it's a single player game. I do not need an online server that I'm paying for. And it's like, no, basically you're saying you can buy the game, but you have to rent all of the DLC that you want to play with. No, sorry. I'm not playing that game. So, yeah, I kind of regret buying Train Sim World 3 because I didn't buy any of the DLC for it. But I did wait until it was like on sale for $4 on Steam. So it wasn't a catastrophic decision on my part, but I kind of regret buying it because I don't think I'm playing any of the Train Sim World 3 DLC. I'm playing mostly the British routes that were released during the time of Train Sim World 2. And I'm happy playing just those. So, not going to be getting more modern versions of Train Sim World any time ever. And I'm probably, like I said, probably not going to be supporting Dovetail anymore. I do not like their their sales model. I used to be a big fan of their sales model. When we'll give you a game update, and all you have to do is buy the extra DLC if you want it, and turned it into a, hey, now you want a subscription and you have to buy the game every year. And I don't know what's going to happen when Train Sim World 5 comes out. For anybody who has a subscription, do they automatically get an update to Game Sim World 5 or Train Sim World 5, or do they have to buy that in order to let their subscription continue for the next year? But yeah, it seems gone are the days where you can buy a thing. Oh, I'm running out of fertilizer. Don't think I'm going to finish this field with what we've got left. But yeah, you want to watch TV, pay a subscription. You want to... I mean, even things like Microsoft Office. You have to buy a subscription every year. You can actually still buy Microsoft Office, but they do not make it easy. And it's only good for 10 years. And then you have to buy the new 10-year version. That was a problem my Mrs. Osa had. She had Microsoft Office, something like 2013, and she could do all of her spreadsheets and Word documents and everything on it, not a problem. And her old PC died, so she had to install all the stuff, and she discovered that, we don't support 2013 anymore, so you're going to have to buy the new one. And the subscription is $10 a month. She's like, no, I don't want to pay a subscription. I just want to use the programs. I'd be happy. Don't want to rent it. I want to own a version of Microsoft Office that I can use at home. And yes, you can. But good grief, you had to hunt around for where to buy it. And I think the next thing Microsoft is looking at is you don't own Windows 11. You've bought a license to use, whereas Windows 10 was theoretically yours. It was still a license to use, but it was yours, so you could upgrade your PC, and it would just, enough of the components are original or current, so you replace your motherboard, no big deal. You can carry on using it under the current license, but they are moving towards the point where probably the next version of Windows is potentially going to be subscription based. So you can't use your PC unless you're paying Microsoft a subscription. But then maybe I'll be old won't actually spend my entire life on the PC. I only just updated Windows 11. My PC wasn't set up to run Windows 11 because of whatever the trusted machine thing, whatever it is, and that's a setting on your BIOS, and the BIOS doesn't call it the same thing as Windows does. To figuring out how to turn it all on is kind of a little bit tricky, but eventually I figured out what it was, and it was only, I think, last month. I'm now on Windows 11. That was after Mrs. Osa got her new PC, and that came with Windows 11, so it's sort of, okay, how are you finding Windows 11? Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, fine, I'll upgrade then. But I kind of left it till the last minute, because I think there's only about 8-10 more months that Windows 10 is going to be supported, until they just say, yep, we're not supporting Windows 10 anymore, and we're not doing the 3 update to Windows 11 either. And obviously if I get another new PC, then I will be forced to have Windows 11 on it. Yeah, I know there are open offices out there. We don't mind paying. I think it was only about $120 for an office, and it's basically, you can install it on one PC. Here's the registration key, and if you ever have to replace your PC or whatever, just enter the registration key and re-download it, and you're fine. It looks like the weed is done. It's only 8:30 in the morning, and it's cloudy still. Nearly done here.
I'm a newborn, so that's why I can't talk.
But yeah.
Yeah.